Refuge in Bodhisattva. However you like today, as all days. With a wish for all beings to be free. Free of the constriction and contraction of held belief systems and thought patterns. Free of the automatic reactivity of held emotional patterns. And free of distorted perception. I will always go for refuge to alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion. Today, in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of any lineage and time or none, that generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. I'm just going to encourage a bit of quiet by closing the door. But we'll see what happens. Okay. It popped in my mind this morning as a reminder. It's wonderful, those of you who choose to do this. Well, I think it's wonderful. Those of you who choose to do this practice on your own time, and you can kind of let it open as it does freshly each time you do it. If you've noticed that, it's never quite the same. Just like in here, it's never quite the same. But if we have a habit of that, and something is overwhelming in this human life, we have a habit, we may be able to shift into inviting Chenrezig in to be with us. Or we can turn into Chenrezig, depending on how you are in that moment. And it can ease the overwhelmedness enough to be able to be present with what's going on. I can't say I do the practice for that reason. But I was reminded somehow this morning that it is said the bardo, after we leave our body, our form behind, well, after whatever leaves the form behind, moves into the bardo, that it has a time of being extremely loud, extremely bright, utterly overwhelming for most of us. And if we have the habit of Chenrezig, this is very Tibetan, I don't have experience of this, but if we have the experience of Chenrezig, and we have the practice of occasionally reaching for that connection, I think might be the best word, then that may occur to us in the midst of the overwhelmedness of the bardo. And it is said, if you reach in that Western direction, it is the easiest direction to be scooped up into one of the Pure Lands. I don't know about any of this. I'm just sharing what I've been told. whatever practice we do or don't do, we don't do a practice when things get really loud or really intense, or we probably won't have the, it's kind of a different level. We're not, when things are overwhelming, it does not, at least to me, feel like it's all, the intellectual is very accessible, or my memory is very accessible. But whatever practice we do that we like, that we are involved with consistently, it may occur to us on that level that is not intellectual and requiring memory or thought. It may occur to us to reach in that direction. So there's a book by Pema Chodron that says, "How we live is how we die." And I have not read it all yet, but I suspect that has a great deal to do with the book. What is common for us in our everyday life may be where we, well, that's enough words, I think. And like all practices, if we do them to get that, they don't have the power of when we just do them because that's where we're drawn. Everybody in here probably has a slightly different reason for being here. This practice is a prerequisite for a couple of the retreats that Lama Lena does. And it's a prerequisite for that very reason. Those couple of retreats can be extremely intense for some people and be overwhelming. And then to have a practice that's familiar to rest into, to just bring the volume down, not to get rid of the experience, never to get rid of the experience. That's not the point. The point is to bring the volume of it down enough that we can actually be present with. Pretty cool, huh? And here's a practice designed for that. Among other things, many things may occur with this practice. As a matter of fact, for anybody that has the notion, because it's said all over the place, that Dzogchen or Mahamudra is the highest practice, that's all fine and good. But this practice has the potential what are the words? Right there, right here, right now, to open our awareness into enlightened mind, which is sitting there pretty patiently, maybe, waiting for us to recognize. So powerful. Anyway, so we started. Well, my intention as I start is that we maybe do a more traditional, but I say that all the time, and we'll see what actually happens. Reach for a memory or I will say, oh, now the Zoom thinks I'm speaking Russian. Ha! Huh, shows you what Zoom knows. What we reach for in this practice, that memory or sensation of open-heartedness, open-mindedness, we may call it love, but love is much too restrictive of a term for most of us. There's all kinds of little sticky things all around for most of us, what we call love. So without limiting in that way, if what we're reaching for by memory or by the present moment, what we may be experiencing, whatever stimulus we may reach for to remind us of the indescribable sensation of open-heartedness. Perhaps as we try to find it, we might use words like warm wave, even safety, something safe in there, maybe. But the very thing we're pointing at and trying to reach for, if it were not the nature of heart mind, always present, even though we may not be able to notice it, then it would be a come and go, and it would not be a refuge. It's a come and go for us, most of us. We don't walk around with that. Oh, I shouldn't say we. I don't always walk around with that utter openness. No need to protect anything. No sense of loneliness or isolation would not be possible in the true experience of bodhicitta. No, not saying everyone is the same. Every manifestation clearly is not the same. We don't have the same personalities. We don't have anything like the same shape of a hippopotamus, although sometimes I feel rather heavy that way. So there's a great rainbow, if you will, of diversity in what arises. So to say we're all exactly the same is kind of silly, isn't it? Also, utterly silly to say we're all individually, independently different. Heck, we couldn't even have created ourselves without help. We all have a lineage, have to have had, or we wouldn't be here, of ancestors, all contributing. Maybe the greatest contributor to who we are right now, this moment, whatever's arising in this moment, is all the experiences we've had, the stories we've told about them, the feelings we've had about them, that now shape our perception in every moment. So if we're going to find a refuge, we better be finding something that doesn't come and go. And as we feel around for that sensation of warmth or openness, beyond the absolutely instinctual, not wrong, instinct to survive as what we perceive as an individual. My me, definitely wants to survive most days. When we feel around for a memory or a time we felt that complete openness, whatever the stimulus was, is not the refuge. Boy, have I made that mistake a lot. Trying to make a refuge out of what I perceived made me feel that sensation. That's not the true refuge. But the stimulus that we think of might remind us of what that sensation arose as. And it can arise in any moment, right here, right now. always, always present, permeates the spaciousness in which everything arises, never separate from us, although we certainly, most of us, experience a separation from it. Ever tried to grab that warm feeling and hold on to it? Squish, fresh in every moment, a refuge that is boundless, unattached, ungrabbable, unfortunately. And as we reach around for a memory or a sense of that, whether we use a stimulus, whatever, they'll be different for all of us. Hallmark movies can do that too, if you're familiar with those. Oh, it's funny. Music, a puppy, a kitten, baby. Art, anything that allows the relaxation to be able to notice what I am very unskillfully pointing at. And we grab. But today, let's not grab. Today together, perhaps for a moment, we can relax into that open-hearted, open-minded, indescribable sensation. It does not matter in the least whether we call on a time we felt it for what we thought, we perceived, we attached to another being, or whether we felt we're lucky enough to feel that kind of open-heartedness in a way we perceived as from another being. Left alone without clinging or grasping, that sensation does not include an I and a you. It just is. So as we try to rest there for a moment, we can do this visually, and often do. That's how the practice is given. But I invite you to open to all your senses. Or if this quality of heart-mind, if you will, is always present, it couldn't possibly be isolated to one sense organ. So if it is helpful for you to visualize a lotus, or whatever image visually allows you to experience something of light, made of light, with 1,000 petals. This is a symbol of our heart chakra, which most of us habitually, without consciousness, keep somewhat closed in an effort to protect ourselves from being hurt. We're going to water that lotus, that image, those 1,000 petals, with this experience that we have remembered or are having in this moment of utter relaxed open-heartedness. And as we do that, the lotus can relax into its true nature, completely open. And we notice in the middle of the lotus 6 petals made of different colors, which are interpreted, are symbols described in different ways. But in this, we'll use them as symbols of all the different colors of light in the universe. And as we water those 6 inner petals with this complete, unbounded open-heartedness, well, I better go back and add something. On each of those inner 6 petals sits a syllable of the mantra of Chenrezig, Chenrezig only being the symbol of open-hearted, open-minded, boundless awareness. And we can repeat 3 times after me, called Dalun, Tibetan. These sounds, these seed syllables that represent the sound of complete open-heartedness, open-minded, boundless awareness. Remembering that this sound arises from within us as we say it. We can feel the sensation of that sound as a vibration in our body. We can allow that sound to come out our mouth, or you don't have to limit it there. And notice as we do this repetition 3 times, if you listen to your own voice, let me know. My experience is there is no way of separating that sound and saying, is it inside or outside? Well, I hear it with my ear organ, so I might say outside. I feel it all the way through my body arising, so I could say it was inside. Or maybe I would say it's inside and outside with no distinction. And the 6 syllables are Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Peme Hum. If you have received this mantra before and your pronunciation is different, it has no consequence of any kind. There isn't a right way. Where does that sound originate? Where does it end? As we say the mantra, if you choose to continue, you can say it with a mala, which is said to hold the energy of that open-heartedness we're talking about. When you say the mala again and again as you practice. And then when you especially need a boost, you can reach for that mala. And again, get some support for what we're pointing at here. Om Mani Padme Hum. As we say this, the 6 inner petals start to turn clockwise for those who are curious, counterclockwise in the Bon tradition. And as they turn, as they are made of light and represent all the light potential in the universe, those different colors mix together. And as organically happens when all light comes together, it becomes a white light. Not a white light like a spotlight, not static, sharp in its brightness, but a white light made of these very waves of all color, warm, vibrant, alive light. And as that white light fills the 6 inner petals, they extend into rays of that warm light, filling the entire lotus until there are 1,000 rays of this radiant light beaming out into the universe, touching 1,000 beings. When I practice, those rays of light carry the sound of the mantra. And with that, they carry the vibration of the waves of the sound. At least so far, those rays, for me, don't carry taste or smell. But it does, they do include, are not separate from touch, vibration, sound, waves, and light waves. And as they touch 1,000 beings with no limitation of time, the rays can touch into the past, present, future, imaginary time. No exclusion of what aliveness they may touch, what form they may touch. The cells in our body, to something so vast that we can't imagine it and therefore can't see it. The six realms described: hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, human realm, asura realm, God realm. To the edge of the universe, beyond the edge of the universe, as far as your imagination reaches. These rays of warm, vibrant light, sound, vibration reach. Oh. If in some way the entire universe, beyond anything we understand, has no center, has no edges, but somehow don't have words, sort of folds back into itself. Impossible thing to describe. Then those rays, touching beings, just had an experiential kind of feeling of circling back naturally, refilling our heart chakra. No beginning, no end. And as those 1,000 beings are touched by these 1,000 rays, their heart can relax, their lotus can relax and open. And the same extension of rays happens within their heart. Now we have 1,000,000 rays of light touching 1,000,000 beings. And again, till you may perceive, feel, sense, hear, sight, something perhaps like a web or a field of interconnected rays, where each intersection might appear like a little node of a very self-centered node, independent, individuals. We can imagine for a moment if somehow within this web there were no sense of isolation or loneliness. The very vibration, radiance, and aliveness of the interconnectedness would be beyond any sense of isolation, loneliness. All of the open-hearted, open-minded nature, essence of what we truly are, interacting not with our personalities, not in this, but with that pure essence. refuge. Rays touching and being touched. Constantly alive in movement and interaction. Oh, that's quite a refuge. We do this together. We do this if we choose to on our own on our cushion. Because unfortunately, or just life, this essence of interconnectedness is not where we all live. Most of us need the safety of this environment or being on our own cushion to allow the experience to open. Once we have experienced that for a moment, even an instant, perhaps our heart will open to all beings who, through not knowing, close down that essence and are unable to experience that refuge. We may for a minute rest in that refuge and then have a feeling of wanting to show it to everyone. It doesn't work that way. We can only allow that to arise naturally within ourselves. And when possible, without any forcing, rest there. The radiant, spacious light of awareness. And not be harmed. And not be destroyed. Always has been, is, and will be. It's a beautiful poem by Mary Olive that imagines or says that the Buddha, as he was passing, and his disciples asked, "What should we do?" His answer was, "Make of yourself a light." That's what we can choose. Not a light of ignorance, not a light of grasping or pushing away. Simply radiant light, the very essence of Bodhicitta. Ooh, that's nice sitting here with you, nice sitting on a cushion. Challenging. our everyday life. As we expand this interconnected light until there are thousand rays of light touching 1,000 beings, and onward until there are an infinite number, there are infinite rays of light touching infinite beings. And there is no thing but light, sound, vibration, filling the universe. Aware, awake, alive. Lacking self-focus. Refuge called Sambhogaka. If we are lucky enough to fall in, not looking at that light, not describing that light as that light, sound, vibration. There is no one to notice. Or to describe. Yet there is awareness where omniscience may arise. Not because there's an I that's omniscient, simply because there is no words escape. Timeless, unattached. We will pull our attention back to our self form, our own form, what we perceive as our own form. We'll have to eat, pee, something of another form will grab our attention. But we needn't forget this refuge. You. Today, perhaps we'll notice, instead of bringing all the light back, if this alive awareness, radiant awareness, truly is, you have the experience of it not being self-focused. There's no describer. And yet the awareness is of every mind stream, for lack of a better word, every arising. It would be a terrible jumble in our minds if we listen to the description of that every form is having of what's going on. Ouch. Can't hold that one. You may notice that none of the diversity of manifestations, none of the radiance of alive, vibrant awareness arises anywhere other than what we call Dharmakaya aspect of heart mind, utter open spaciousness, not limited in any way by time or location. No thing whatsoever to hold on to beyond duality. No right, wrong, up, down. If we only notice Dharmakaya aspect of heart mind, and we fail to notice the radiant, alive spark all life shares. We fail to notice all life is the arising of dancing stillness in Mahamudra. The natural dance of this boundless spaciousness, filled and permeated with radiant aliveness, in which anything and everything can arise. Nothing stationary or static, ever, for even a second. And our heart may open again, particularly knowing with humans how we strive to find something that holds still, that won't change, that we can count on. And here it is, and has always been. Well, I didn't add us humans. We really want to find something we can control, do we not? Very human. We could maybe start to feel that very instinctual need to try to control, survive, whatever you want to call it, is what keeps us from resting into the refuge. It's always present. that into emotions. Ouch. In fact, we're our own worst enemies. To grab onto something, even if it is this heartfelt, what may arise as a total heartfelt wish that all beings, nope, to free all beings as an I want to put an end to all suffering. I want to free all beings. It's a lovely intention, but I doesn't have to do anything to free all beings. How they then recognize itself for what it truly is. Oh, I enjoy being with you so much. I think that's enough words. Leave things right where they are. In this openness, there is no I to dedicate anything to anybody or anyone. There simply is isness. However, knowing that we will grab our form back, hold it tightly, pat it on the back, try to make it happy. Whatever arose today from being able to spend time together. It gave one moment of relaxation to allow the refuge to be apparent. May we not hold on to it, grasp it, squish it, try to figure it out. It doesn't go in words. It's not an it. We are the it. Huh. May we continue our path, the greatest gift we can offer, until we become what the Buddha said, the light that shines out into the universe, never set.